These are the most interesting vintage photos and unusual objects from the past. Let's get 1,000 subscribers. American soldiers from the 347th Infantry Regiment receive hot food in snowy Belgium during the fighting in the Ardennes, January 13, 1945. On October 1, 1940, photographer Claude Detloff captured the moment when a little boy broke free from his mother's arms to reach his father, who was going to the front as part of the British Columbia Regiment. The picture was named "Wait for Me, Daddy," and became a symbol of the human drama of war. Hundreds of spent shell casings are visible on the deck of the light cruiser USS Miami after the massive shelling of Japanese fortifications in Palau in 1944. In 1955, during the return of German prisoners of war from the USSR, many families learned the fate of their loved ones for the first time. In the picture, a mother is crying after receiving confirmation that her son, who was captured on the Eastern Front, did not survive. In December 1952, London was hit by a great smog caused by burning coal in calm conditions. Visibility dropped to almost zero. Transport stopped, and blind people helped others find their way. The smog claimed the lives of about 4,000 people, and in the following weeks, the number of victims exceeded 12,000. In the 1950s, in the United States, it was possible to purchase a two-bedroom house for $7,450 with monthly payments of less than $50. A more spacious three-bedroom apartment cost about $7,900, which today seems like an incredibly low price. The photo captures the training of French wrestlers in the gym around 1900. The picture was taken on a glass negative, which was typical for photographic equipment of that time. In 1901, Annie Edson Taylor became the first person to swim across Niagara Falls in a barrel and survive. In the photo, she stands next to a barrel and her cat, which she used to test the structure before a dangerous descent. An advertising page from the Sears catalog of the early 20th century offers home furniture at affordable prices. A dining table could be bought for $7.98, a kitchen cabinet for $19.98, and chairs for only $0.98 each. A U.S. Marine Corps flamethrower operator operates under the cover of riflemen on Iwo Jima, February 1945. This type of weapon was used to destroy fortifications and bunkers. Wounded sailors are evacuated from the aircraft carrier Bunker Hill on the Wilkes-Barre after the Japanese attack off the coast of Okinawa, May 11, 1945. On that day, the ship was heavily damaged by a kamikaze strike. An American soldier inspects works of art, confiscated by the Nazis and hidden in a church in Ellingen, Germany on April 24, 1945. Thousands of paintings and relics were discovered by the Allies in secret vaults across Europe. Two amphibious assault ships of the United States Coast Guard, LST, opened their ramps on the coast of Leyte, Philippines, 1944. Soldiers unload equipment and cargo, using sandbags to strengthen the pillars. In April 1945, soldiers of the U.S. 90th Division discovered Reichsbank gold, SS property, and works of art from Berlin museums in the Merkers salt mine, Germany. The find became one of the largest trophy operations of the Second World War. The newspaper, the Boston Daily Globe, reports on the disaster of the Titanic on April 15, 1912, claiming the lives of approximately 1,232 people. The headline emphasizes that only 868 passengers were saved. Canadian soldiers carefully study the German coast plan during the first hours of the Normandy landings on June 6, 1944. Such documents help to clarify the defensive positions of the enemy and coordinate the offensive. The funeral at sea aboard the USS Hansford takes place at the end of February 1945 after fierce fighting for Iwo Jima. The bodies of the dead sailors and Marines were given to the ocean according to a military rite. Such ceremonies were common practice on the Pacific Front. Gunners of the 12th Field Regiment of the Royal Canadian Artillery read the issue of the Maple Leaf newspaper dedicated to the end of the war. The picture was taken in Aurich, Germany on May 20, 1945. The newspaper was the official military publication for the Canadian forces. American F-4U Corsair and F-6F Hellcat fighters fly in formation on the day of Japan's surrender. The ceremony took place on September 16, 1945, aboard the aircraft carrier Missouri, becoming a symbol of the end of World War II. In the winter of 1942, Leningraders were forced to draw water from broken pipes right on the streets of the city. The blockade, which lasted almost 900 days, deprived residents of normal sources of water, heating, and food. German troops surrounded Leningrad, shelled it, and isolated it from the outside world. During the siege of Leningrad, Bella the hippopotamus survived, thanks to the care of the caretaker, Evdokia Dashina. She carried a barrel of water from the Neva River every day and rubbed the animal with camphor oil, saving it from cracks in the skin. These efforts allowed Bella to survive the war and even hide underwater during raids. Soviet soldiers in June 1943, firing at German aircraft, lying on their backs on a slope. This method made it possible to shoot up without using anti-aircraft guns. Heinrich Himmler, during an inspection of a Soviet prisoner of war camp in 1941. These camps were characterized by harsh conditions of detention, mass mortality from hunger, disease, and exhaustion. A crowd outside the U.S. State Department building follows the news about the outbreak of World War II, September 1, 1939. Newspaper headlines report on the bombing of Warsaw and the German invasion of Poland. Adolf Hitler attends Mass at the beginning of his reign as the leader of the Third Reich. This incident was the Führer's only official visit to the church, and probably one of his last appearances at a religious service. On August 16, 1977, newspapers around the world reported the death of Elvis Presley at the age of 42. The king of rock and roll died of a heart attack at his Graceland estate. This news came as a shock to millions of fans and has gone down in music history forever. American soldiers, along with Captain James Rorimer from the MFAA, Monuments Men unit, carry paintings from Neuschwanstein Castle, where the Nazis kept looted works of art. Now 1. Senior Sergeant Harold Maus inspects an engraving by Albrecht Dürer, recovered from a salt mine in Merker, Germany. In these underground vaults, the Nazis hid thousands of works of art that were confiscated throughout Europe during World War II. 6 trucks with Florentine works of art, stolen by the Germans and valued at $500 million, are solemnly returning to Piazza della Signoria in Florence. In the Altusee mines in Austria, the Nazis equipped entire halls for storing stolen works of art. Paintings and sculptures were placed on specially constructed wooden shelves capable of withstanding enormous weight. The scale of the vault is visible from a staircase about 2.5 meters high, which shows the gigantic size of the underground chamber. Sidney Last's Leader, Theater on 9th Street in Washington, was one of the most popular movie theaters of the 1920s. A 1925 photo shows a group of children and teenagers in front of the poster for the film The Airmail, starring Douglas Fairbanks Jr. At the beginning of the 20th century, special horse-drawn irrigation carts were used to keep city streets clean. The tank was filled with water, which was distributed through pipes along the road, washing away dust and dirt. Roller brushes were attached to the front, which made the process more efficient. These carts became the prototype of modern utility vehicles. In 1984, owners of Soviet Lada cars were denied service at a gas station in Toronto. Such a boycott became a form of protest against the Soviet military presence in Afghanistan. The signs indicated that the ban would last until the Soviets leave. The photo shows an empty Crimean Tatar village Uskurt near Alushta, 1945. After the deportation of the Crimean Tatars in May of the same year, all the houses were without inhabitants. The Mansfield News Journal newspaper of April 18, 1963, reported on the development of a pocket wireless phone. The device was at the laboratory testing stage at the time and seemed to be a distant future. The prediction about the phone in your pocket became a reality only decades later. A traffic cop from Los Angeles with an intruder, a motorist, detained in a sidecar attached to his motorcycle, December 20th, 1924. The aircraft carrier USS Saratoga returns home after World War II, passing through the Golden Gate Strait on September 13th, 1945. About 3,800 sailors were accommodated on the deck, welcoming the end of hostilities. On July 23, 1944, in Saint-Lô, Normandy, the body of an American officer known as Major Owe was found among the ruins of the Church of St. Croix. In the foreground, his soldiers took up defense in a bomb crater with a machine gun. On March 1, 1945, on Iwo Jima, the U.S. Marines found time to pray during the fierce fighting from Motoyama Airstrip No. 1. Privates Edmund L. Faddle, Walter M. Sikowski, and Nicholas A. Zingaro knelt to receive communion amid the destruction. Residents of the village of Steinberg washed their clothes in the stream in the traditional way, using a minimum of soap and relying on hand strength. Funeral procession in Ingwiller, France, March 17, 1945. The horse-drawn hearse is followed by locals, and in the foreground, protective wire cutters on the Jeep are visible to prevent injury from the wire. A soldier stands at the wall of the German barracks in Heilbronn, April 1945. The poster depicts the propaganda inscription, "Find Hurt Mit." The enemy listens, warning soldiers against excessive talkativeness. American troops captured a German aircraft sound locator near Heidelberg on April 1, 1945. Before the introduction of radar, such devices were used to listen to the sound of aircraft engines and determine the direction of their approach. U.S. Army engineers built a pontoon bridge over the Neckar River under German artillery fire, spring 1945. Seconds after the shooting, an 88mm cannon covered the position, wounding 5 soldiers. American soldiers relax while sitting on the steam miniature locomotives of the Prater Lilliputbahn attraction in Vienna. In the background, you can see the famous Ferris wheel, around which fierce battles have recently taken place between German troops and advancing Soviet units. Vienna residents carry firewood down the street in July 1945 when the city was suffering from severe fuel shortages. Because of this, the famous Viennese forests were almost completely cut down for heating and the survival of the population. Newspaper peddlers prepare to start their work early in the morning, New York, 1908. The teenagers started their rounds at 2 in the morning so that the newspapers would be delivered by morning. The work was hard and often carried out by children from poor families. In England, in 1931, a vending machine appeared which gave out already lit cigarettes for a penny. The device was positioned as a convenient solution for smokers that does not even need matches. Despite their practicality, such vending machines quickly attracted criticism due to their fire risk and smoking propaganda. During the Great Depression in 1931, Al Capone organized a soup kitchen in Chicago where hundreds of unemployed people were fed daily. Despite his criminal reputation, this move reinforced his image as a benefactor of the poor. Such gestures helped the gangster to win the support of the population against the background of mass poverty. The photo shows 10-year-old Christopher Walken in 1953. Already as a child, he showed artistry by appearing in commercials and on television. The picture shows 18-year-old Michael Jordan playing a Pac-Man arcade machine in 1982. At that time, he was a student at the University of North Carolina and was just starting his career in basketball. Within a few years, Jordan became one of the main stars of the NBA. Hockey goaltender Terry Savchuk of the Detroit Red Wings is pictured with numerous scars on his face in 1966. Before the introduction of protective masks, goalkeepers often suffered severe injuries from pucks and sticks. Savchuk became a symbol of an era when the game was especially dangerous for goalkeepers. Actress Tippi Hedren and her family kept a lion named Neil at their home in California. In the 1970s, they lived with an animal weighing about 400 kilograms, which became the basis for the movie Roar, 1981. This experiment was often criticized because of the high danger of keeping a predator in everyday life. Here is the first ever Disneyland ticket. sold in 1955 at the opening of the park in Anaheim, California. Its cost was only $1, and the serial number was 00001. In 1983, Apple introduced a prototype touchscreen phone with a stylus, anticipating the concept of future smartphones. The device never entered mass production, but it became an early experiment of the company with the idea of a smartphone. Emil Rakovits is captured in one of the first underwater photographs taken by Louis Vuitton in 1899. The photo shows an unusual way of dressing up on the beach in 1929. The women used special portable screen booths to change clothes while maintaining privacy. The picture shows Dubai in 1965, when it was still a small port city on the shores of the Persian Gulf. The region's economy was then based on fishing, trade, and pearl mining. Modern skyscrapers and the megacity of the future will appear here only after several decades. The photo shows a woman driving a car in the early 20th century, a time when driving was considered rare and daring for ladies. She is wearing safety glasses and a travel suit, which were mandatory due to the dust and the lack of a windshield. In 1954, an unusual water performance took place in Florida. Girls in swimsuits and hats of witches went water skiing in honor of Halloween. Such shows combined sports and entertainment, which made them popular tourist attractions. In 1967, Arnold Schwarzenegger, at the beginning of his career, staged a rally in the center of Munich, strolling through the streets in his swimming trunks. This unusual move was part of a campaign to attract people to the gym where he trained. Fyodor Makhnov, a native of Vitebsk province, went down in history as one of the tallest people of his time. His height was about 285 centimeters. At the beginning of the 20th century, he toured Europe and America, where he was called the Russian Giant. His figure aroused great interest among doctors and the public, becoming a symbol of human physical anomalies of that era. A 1910 photograph shows a street vendor of muffins in London. Such sellers carried pastries on a tray mounted on their heads and attracted customers with a metal tube or bell. The 1926 photograph shows two graduates of Cambridge University wearing the puffy plus force trousers characteristic of that time. This style was considered fashionable among English youth, combining the elegance of the costume with a touch of informality. A 1950 photograph captured children gathered around a metal basin where meerkats are bathed. One boy pours water from a watering can over the animal, while the others curiously watch the process. A 1928 photo shows a woman who decided to get a bird tattoo on her shoulder. At that time, tattoos for women were considered very rare and were associated with a rebellious spirit and a desire to stand out. The photo shows a rare miniature pocket typewriter, a pocket typewriter from the early 20th century. These devices were used as a compact alternative to large typewriters. The principle of operation was that the symbols were applied manually by turning the letter disc and then pressing to print. Here is a rare 19th century Victorian game chest, 1800s. It contains a variety of entertainment popular among children and adults of that time. Mini rackets for playing with a ball or a shuttlecock, dominoes, chips, throwing rings, spinning top, bilboke, sets for board games, and other activities. The photo shows the owner or employee of a barbershop in London during the Second World War. Circa 1940, it's 1941. Despite the destroyed storefronts due to the German bombing, Blitz, he posts large ads with the inscription, "Working as usual," and humorous slogans. Lucy Higgs Nichols was born into slavery in Tennessee, but managed to escape during the Civil War. She joined the 23rd Indiana Infantry Regiment and began working with it as a nurse. The veterans of this regiment highly appreciated her dedication and loyalty, maintaining lifelong friendship with her. She later received a lifetime pension from the U.S. Congress for her service and caring for soldiers. This letter from the Vietnam War reflects the harsh realities of a soldier's life. At that time, in the United States, you could only vote from the age of 21, but you were drafted and sent to war from the age of 18. This injustice has become a symbol of protest by the younger generation. A baboon named Jackie served in the South African Army during the First World War. His owner, Albert Marr, was drafted to the front and insisted that the pet go with him. The authorities agreed, and Jackie officially became the mascot of the 3rd Transvaal Regiment. The picture shows 4 American veterans who lived at the same time and represented different wars. From above, participants of the Second and First World Wars. From below, a veteran of the Spanish-American War and a soldier of the American Civil War. In May 1861, 9-year-old John Lincoln, Johnny Clem, ran away from home in Newark, Ohio, to join the Union Army. However, the commander of the 3rd Ohio refused to accept him, saying that they don't take babies. Despite this, Clem soon found a way to serve with the military and became the youngest soldier in the American Civil War. In the photo from the 1970s, Andre the Giant is jokingly sitting on the lap of Peter Mavia, the grandfather of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and the legendary wrestler, who weighed about 143 kilos, 315 lb. Despite Mavia's impressive size, Andre looked even more huge next to him. Christmas 1944 on Guadalcanal. American soldiers received gifts from Santa Claus. Even in the war, traditions were tried to preserve in order to raise morale. An advertisement from the middle of the 20th century offered an unusual combination: ice cream on hot porridge, cream of wheat. The manufacturers positioned it as a surprise for breakfast, believing that a sweet treat would make children more willing to have breakfast. This is a Gilbert chemistry set for children, which was popular in the USA in the middle of the 20th century. It contains substances that could include saltpeter, sulfuric acid, and even components for making gunpowder. Boss Caswell's Monkey Saloon, Granite, Colorado, early 1880s. A wooden building with a sign, Monkey, served as a local saloon selling beer from the Denver Brewing Co. 4 men and a dog stand at the entrance, capturing the typical appearance of the region's gold miners and settlers. 2 representatives of the Apsalik tribe, Crow, on horseback near a teepee in a snowy forest, Montana, 1908. The scene captures the winter lifestyle of the indigenous population of the region, who used mobile dwellings suitable for harsh conditions. The makeshift Wild West Hotel in Perry, Oklahoma, September 1893. The inn consisted of tents and simple open-air beds set up next to stables and carts. Similar temporary hotels sprang up during the land races when thousands of settlers sought to occupy new plots. Propaganda billboard near Oak Ridge, Tennessee, 1940s. The settlement was created as part of the Manhattan Project for the production of nuclear weapon components. The inscription on the billboard reminded the workers to maintain secrecy. What you see here, what you do here, what you hear here, let it stay here. USS Langley, CV-1, the first aircraft carrier of the United States Navy, commissioned in 1922. The ship was converted from the carbon carrier USS Jupiter and was used as an experimental platform for testing carrier-based aircraft. A dish towel used at the surrender of General Robert E. Lee in April 1865. It was used as an improvised white flag to signify the surrender of the Confederate Army to the Union forces. Tea box, one of 2 preserved from the Boston Tea Party in 1773. Colonists dumped hundreds of similar cases of British teas into the harbor, protesting against tax policies. A man looks into the crater of Aso volcano, Japan, circa 1906. Aso is one of the largest active volcanoes in the world, with a caldera about 25 kilometers in diameter. Hiro Onoda, Center, an intelligence officer of the Imperial Japanese Army, surrendered in 1974 after almost 30 years in the jungles of the Philippines. He continued to follow orders, unaware of the end of World War II. Large TV with General Electric widescreen, 1000 VCR, 1978. The model combined a large format screen and an integrated unit with video equipment, representing one of the first attempts to combine a TV and a video system. Dornier Do X seaplane in New York, 1931. Built in Germany in 1929, it was the largest and heaviest flying boat of its time, with a wingspan of 48 meters and a length of 40 meters. The car was equipped with 12 engines and became a symbol of engineering achievements in the interwar period. Passenger bus in Paris, early 20th century. Double-decker car. This type of transport was one of the first attempts to replace horse-drawn carriages with motorized public transport. The New Hampshire Railroad became the first cogwheel railway built to climb a high mountain. Construction began in 1858, was interrupted by the Civil War, and resumed in 1866. A zebra harnessed to a carriage moves along Brixton Street in London, 1913. At the beginning of the 20th century, attempts were made to tame and use zebras as harness animals, which aroused public interest. The airship Le Jaune flies past the Eiffel Tower in Paris, 1903. The device was built by Albert Santos Dumont and was used for demonstration flights. Conrad O'Brien French, former British intelligence agent MI6, greets a bear in Banff National Park, Canada, 1950. During World War II, he was engaged in intelligence activities, and after the war, he lived in Canada. Shepherds listening to gramophone records, Azerbaijan, 1939. In the foreground is a portable gramophone, around which men have gathered, while a flock of sheep graze behind. Prisoners of Auschwitz after the liberation of the camp by the Red Army, 1945. People in striped camp clothes celebrate their long-awaited freedom by raising their hands and holding bottles. A woman at the door of a motorhome at an exhibition in London, 1927. The car was named the Road Yacht and was one of the early models of campers with an aerodynamic design. Such cars were designed to travel comfortably and became the forerunners of modern motorhomes. 3-in-1 kitchen combination unit, 1950s. The device combined a stove with electric burners, a sink, and a refrigerator in one housing. The opening of Disneyland in Anaheim, 1955. The picture shows huge queues of visitors rushing to the world's first Walt Disney theme park. A family in a one-room apartment in the New York slums, 1890. Such dwellings were typical for immigrants and working-class families at the end of the 19th century, when the rapid development of the city was accompanied by overpopulation. Promotional article about weight loss using an AIDS product, USA, mid-20th century. In the post, Shirley Gallagher talks about how she lost 59 pounds in order to not lose her husband. Advertisement for the wards, Video World of Sports game console, 1970s. The device offered 3 game options, tennis, hockey, and squash, which were displayed on the TV screen. Viewmaster is a popular stereoscopic toy that has been produced since the late 1930s. The device allowed viewing 3D images using removable cardboard discs with slides. It was used for both entertainment and educational purposes. George W. Bush plays in the courtyard of the family home, 1953. The picture shows the future 43rd President of the United States as a child. Similar photographs have been preserved in family archives as evidence of his early years. Residents observed the solar eclipse on April 17, 1912. People used darkened windows and improvised eye protection while standing outside. Harry Houdini demonstrates the trick of getting out of a milk canister, early 20th century. The magician used such productions to test and advertise his escape abilities. In the photo, he is surrounded by assistants and police representatives to confirm the authenticity of the number. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone jokingly posed together in the 1980s and 1990s. Actors who competed in Hollywood for leadership in action films often participated in joint photo shoots. A Canadian soldier with Vinnie the Bear, circa 1914. The animal was bought by Lieutenant Harry Colborne and became the mascot of his regiment. Later, the bear inspired the author to create the image of Winnie the Pooh. Workers carry giant crowns made for theatrical performances or festive processions. The beginning of the 20th century. The designs are made of wood and paper and decorated with fabric and gilding, which made them spectacular but easy to carry. The collapse of the Thames Bridge during the Tolstoy Thursday Festival in London, 1845. Thousands of people gathered at the crowded crossing, which led to broken railings and panic. As a result of the incident, dozens of people ended up in the water, and this event became the reason for a review of the safety standards of urban structures. Sabine Shibichi, Kenyan runner, wins the race in 1973, running barefoot and in an ordinary dress. This incident drew attention to the difficult conditions in which many athletes from East Africa trained. Subsequently, Kenya became one of the leading countries in world athletics. Fanny Cochran Smith, a native of Tasmania, performed songs for recording on a phonograph, 1903. She is considered the last bearer of Tasmanian Aboriginal song traditions. Portrait of a woman and a boy with a military uniform, made in memory of his father. Such stage photographs from the early 20th century symbolize the presence of a deceased or absent family member. Roger Mills and Bertha Linson, the first officially registered interracial marriage in Mississippi, 1970. In the picture, the newlyweds are cutting a wedding cake in Jackson. Marilyn Monroe without makeup, 1955. The picture was taken during the period when the actress was actively working on a change of image and studied acting at the New York studio of Lee Strasberg. An advertisement from the middle of the 20th century about the ironized yeast product. It claims that the remedy helps to gain weight in order to conform to popular ideas about attractiveness at that time. An Atari 2600 advertisement featuring Stevie Wonder, 1981. The text uses a joking quote from the musician that if he could play video games, he would choose Atari. Carrie Fisher during a photo shoot for Rolling Stone magazine, 1983. Filming on the beach took place in the costume of Princess Leia from the movie Return of the Jedi. The photo was used to promote the premiere of the film. Gertrude Ederle, an American swimmer, became the first woman to cross the English Channel on August 26, 1926. She spent 14 hours and 34 minutes swimming 21 miles, setting a world record among all swimmers at that time. Children released from the Auschwitz concentration camp in January 1945. They are wearing striped prisoners, camp robes, and the barbed wire of the camp fence is visible behind their backs. Wedding rings seized from prisoners at the Buchenwald concentration camp on May 5, 1945. American soldiers have discovered thousands of rings confiscated from prisoners as a symbol of mass crimes and the scale of Nazi atrocities. A man among the tall shelves of the Cincinnati Public Library. This building, once one of the most impressive book vaults in the United States, was demolished in 1955. A charcoal iron with a hollow chamber for hot coals. Such irons were used before the advent of electric irons and remain functional even today. Wall-mounted mechanical pencil sharpener. This device is more than 100 years old, but it still works on the principle of rotating knives. Compact in the shape of a pistol, 1920s. This accessory combined a mirror, powder, and lipstick cases, becoming a fashionable and unusual item of feminine use. Margaret Zimmerman on a tightrope over the ruins of Cologne, 1946. A German tightrope walker performs against the backdrop of a destroyed city, becoming a symbol of an attempt to bring back life and art after World War II. Mafiosi hide their faces at the trial of Al Capone, 1931. The gangsters' witnesses and accomplices try to hide from the photographers to avoid identification and subsequent revenge. Vintage metal shopping list for the forgetful. Products, milk, bread, meat, spices, etc., are engraved on the plate, in front of which you can slide the slider. This tool helped to mark what you need to buy and take it with you to the store. Ella Fitzgerald is arrested after a concert, 1955. The great jazz singer was detained in Houston, along with Dizzy Gillespie and other musicians, for performing in front of a mixed audience, which violated the laws of segregation. August 15, 1945, the surrender of Japan. Sailors of the aircraft carrier Ticonderoga CV-14 celebrate the end of World War II. Their planes had just returned from the Tokyo raid when the crew learned that the war was over and Japan had officially surrendered. The year is 1966. During the collision of an American B-52 bomber with a tanker aircraft over the Mediterranean Sea, 4 thermonuclear bombs accidentally fell on Spain. The photo shows one of them raised with the help of divers and rescuers. In 1915, the photo shows a crossbow grenade launcher used by French troops at the beginning of the First World War. This simple device made it possible to throw hand grenades at a distance of up to 100 meters. USA, 1911. A photo of a family from southern Ohio posing next to a new washing machine powered by a small motor. Similar devices began to make life easier for housewives in the early 20th century. USA, 1914. The photo shows the delivery of rural mail. A postman in a horse-drawn carriage hands correspondence to a resident. A similar system, known as Rural Free Delivery, RFD, has been in operation since the end of the 19th century and provided residents of remote areas with free delivery of letters and parcels directly to their homes. Denmark, 1940. The crew of a Danish anti-aircraft gun during training. With the impending war, Europe was actively preparing for air threats, and such calculations were trained to work with new air defense systems. New York, Times Square, December 31st, 1937. Thousands of people gathered in the city center to celebrate the arrival of 1938. The New Year's Eve countdown in Times Square had already become one of the main traditions of the United States, attracting huge crowds and accompanied by advertising lights and festive illuminations. A unique case recorded in history is the collision of a car with a submarine. The picture shows the moment when a passenger car, which had driven to the edge of the embankment, crashed into a moored submarine. This is the only recorded such incident that has attracted the attention of both military and civilian witnesses. This is a bottle of mercurochrome, a popular antiseptic from the middle of the 20th century. The product was a solution of merbromine, a mercury compound, in alcohol used to treat abrasions, cuts, and small wounds. It was distinguished by its characteristic red color, which is why it was also called red stuff in the USA. An antique console TV that weighed about 300 pounds. In 1904, the Sherwin-Williams magazine recognized that lead paint was toxic to workers and residents of houses. Despite the warnings, lead continued to be used everywhere for decades. During World War II, Allied intelligence officers used shoes with hidden cavities to transmit secrets. Such boots helped hide documents or micro-equipment and reduce the risk of exposure. Hippie school fashion, the 1960s. Loose outfits, bright patterns, and long hair reflected the spirit of the counterculture, which gradually penetrated even into the daily lives of the students. Jenny Joseph poses for the Columbia Pictures logo, 1992. It was her first time acting as a model, and she never participated in such projects again. It was her image that formed the basis of the film company's famous screensaver, vintage Gillette razor with replaceable blade. Such safety razors appeared at the beginning of the 20th century and quickly replaced dangerous razors due to the convenience and mass production of replaceable blades. New School Bus, 1912. The structure was a horse-drawn carriage with a roof and benches, adapted for transporting children. Such vehicles have become the prototype of modern school buses. Passengers in a first-class dining car, 1905. The dining room was decorated with tables with white tablecloths and exquisite porcelain, serving multi-course meals, including soups and main courses. The world's only fully preserved set of combat armor for an elephant is an exhibit from the 17th century kept in a museum. It consists of thousands of connected metal plates and chainmail elements with a total weight of about 136 kilograms, 300 lb. The construction of the Atomium in Brussels, 1958. The monumental symbol of the modernist era was built in a matter of months on the eve of the World Exhibition Expo 58. The structure consisted of 9 steel spheres connected by pipes, an architectural abstraction of an elementary cell of an iron crystal. Italian airships bomb Tripoli, 1911. During the Italo-Turkish War of 1911-1912, Italy used airships for aerial bombing of Ottoman positions in Libya for the first time in history. This event became the prologue of a new era of military aviation and a symbol of the fact that the sky has become a combat arena.